Hi, Dessie. How are you?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you very well. Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you. How are you
Good.
doing?
I'm really well, thank you. I'm doing really good today. It's a bit of a humid day
Yeah,
in London, at least. I don't know what it's like where you are, but aside from that, I'm good. I'm happy to be here.
man. Thank you so much for being on the Dessie show. I really appreciate you.
I'm excited.
Yeah. So first off, yeah, it's hot in Dallas. I'm actually in Texas, so it's very
Oh,
here as well. But let's talk about the time difference. It is 2:38 here in Dallas, and what time is it there?
it's 8:38 in the evening here in
Yes.
the
Yes, I know sometimes it's 5 hours ahead and sometimes it's 6 hours ahead, depending on.
UK. Yeah, I think I don't know. Anyway, we're here. We're here, Dessie.
Yeah, so thank you so much for being on the show. I admire the work that you do, and you're also like a trendsetter over in London. So I want
Am
to,
I?
yeah, I want to have and a presenter and everything else. I want to have you on to kind of talk about some of that stuff.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, I'm pleased that you asked me. I'm on the Desi show, so it's all good.
Yeah. So for those who don't know you, for the audience that don't know you here in the U.S., would you please tell them who you are and what you do?
Well, my name is Leah Charles King, and I'm a TV and radio presenter. I also have the Red Carpet Academy, which teaches people how to be a presenter. So I teach people kind of to be like me, but a more authentic version of themselves, really.
Yeah.
I also speak a lot about mental health. I'm somebody who has bipolar. So I speak about that and I talk about navigating that with the career that I've had in TV for over 20 years, but I've actually been in the entertainment industry for over 35 years. So
Yeah.
it's a long time.
Yeah. So please talk about how you got your start in media and was that something that you always wanted to do?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I was in a girl band called Cliche in the 90s, and we had a couple of songs in the charts, and we had a good old time, and we lived that whole pop star life, and it was
Yeah.
brilliant. We achieved a lot. But then when that ended in my late teens, I said, oh gosh, what am I going to do next? And I always thought that the TV presenters looked really cool on all the shows. We go on MTV and,
Yeah.
all that stuff. And the TV presenters, or the hosts, as you guys call them, you guys
Right.
say TV, don't you? Right. So the TV host always looked like a really cool gig. But at that stage, 20 years ago, being a TV host wasn't the thing. Not
Yeah.
certainly not here in the UK. It was people were chasing other things. It wasn't really hosting, and we certainly didn't have any social media or anything like that. So when I left music, I kind of got into it just on a whim in a way. I almost didn't want to, but I sent my tape off to a very well-known kids TV show.
Uh-huh.
Um, I guess you guys, you always hear in America, you always hear about people coming from like the Mickey Mouse Club type thing,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Right. So it was the equivalent of that. Funnily enough, I did work for the Disney Channel after, but this particular one was the UK one, and it was called Children's ITV, and it was massive. And I started off there, and I
Yeah.
became the first and only black female to present that show in the afternoons in its like 40-year history or something. So it's a good accolade, but at the same time, it's not, because it kind of shows that we haven't come on that much in
Yeah.
terms
No
of
problem.
race and equality.
Yeah. So going back to the band that you were in, what was your role in the band? Do you play instruments or just sing or rap or what do you do?
Yeah, we were a girl band, so we were young when we got together. We were 12 years old,
Yeah.
first cousins, by the way, and we just ended up. We were singing at a family party, the type of thing that you hear on, real. We were called cliche, and it was a bit of a cliche to be honest, because it really was like we're singing at a family party and got discovered. And then that was it. Then we got signed to Sony Music after, many years of rehearsing and working really, really hard. But yeah, just had a great time. We always said we were a mix of TLC meets En Vogue. So it's like we got the craziness of TLC, but the sophistication of En Vogue. That's what
God,
we were saying, 14-year-olds anyway.
yeah, that's really
But
cool.
yeah, I mean, we had a great time, and I did a bit of rapping, which kind of made me cringe at a certain point even then, but now 25 years on, I'm pretty proud of my cheesy American star rapping.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Well, let me know if you feel the need to, say some bars or anything like that. You know what I'm saying?
I'll think about it. I might need some practice first. Who knows?
Okay, cool. So back to being a TV presenter. When it comes to that, do you like, being in front of the camera as a presenter or performing better? Which one do you like more?
Oh, like singing on stage and that. Oh, it's funny because I had this conversation not so long ago, and there is a big difference with performing on stage in front of thousands of people. Like I've performed at the very famous Wembley Stadium, for
Hmm.
example, which is like you guys Madison Square Gardens or something like
Right.
that,
Yeah.
Staples Center or whatever. And when you've done things like that as a pop star, you kind of, or you performed in front of thousands of people at road shows and tours and things like that. There's no real buzz like it. That
Yeah.
buzz of seeing all those people and all that energy and people being so into what you're doing is amazing. And I don't think I'll ever get that buzz back, that enjoyment that I had with the band. So
Hmm.
this whole me that you see now is just a different side of me, and I still get such a buzz from presenting in a completely different way.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it, and more than anything, live presenting. If it's pre-recorded stuff, yeah, I absolutely love it. It's my career. I've done it for 20 years. But when something's live, there's a magic of anything live, including this Instagram live, because it means
Right.
anything can happen at any time. And it just
Man.
proves that we're alive. That's what I
Yeah.
used to say. If it all goes wrong, that just proves that I'm alive. So, so yeah, so it's two different types of, vibes that you get. But actually, I very much see my music career as something that I did many, many moons ago, and I'm proud of
Yeah.
it. But I look at it from, you know, as a different person. It's very
Right.
much in the past, but I'm very proud of it, and I'm happy at what I do now. So
Yeah, and then moving forward, you mentioned that you are bipolar, and you talk to people about being able to work through that, and the importance of mental health and things like that. Even beyond that, I actually was. I've been having a lot of conversations with people because right now, with being black and seeing so many um, murders and things from the police, and it's something that we always live with, but we don't often think of that as a mental health issue. We just think of that as just the way it is, unfortunately. Yeah. So can you
exactly.
speak on your disorder and how you work through that, and then kind of the current state of mental health?
Yeah, I mean, really, my disorder sort of happened in between the. I mean, it's very bipolar is what it is. For those who don't know, it's a mood disorder. So you could go from, in my case, high to low. So you could be really, really happy or really depressed. And being like that throughout my years and being a creative, anyone who's a creative could probably
Yeah.
identify with me anyway.
Yeah.
You don't need to be labeled bipolar or anything, but I don't really need to be either, probably. But there are different reasons and ways. But the bottom line is that as a creative person, we're kind of like that anyway. We're
Yeah.
kind of high and low. And so in the high times, I was just happy. And in the low times, when I didn't really have work going on, I was low. But isn't that normal? If somebody's not really working and they're struggling to find the next job in the
Yeah.
presenting world, you'd expect them to be a bit depressed. So it wasn't something that stood out. In the same way, if I got a great gig, like I launched BET in Europe and in the
Oh, yeah.
UK. I was their first presenter on it. Excellent, amazing achievements like that would put me on a great high. That job would end and I would sink low. And so you would just assume that, oh, it's just the highs and lows of the business.
You're right.
Now, I don't know what came first, the chicken or the egg. But the bottom line is that whether it was my career that messed with my head or my head that messed with my career, I don't know. But it happened. And I went through a period of being very, very depressed and then super high. That was the first time I became super high,
Yeah.
to a point where it was noticeable because my behavior was different. I was just going out more. I was really I'm a confident person, but I'm very much who I am as a professional to who I am at home is
Yeah.
quite different. So I could see that my behavior was changing, and those some around me kind of noticed as well. And to be honest with you, really, I knew something was wrong more than anybody else, even my doctor. I
Yeah.
had to really push for help, actually, because
Hmm.
everyone sort of looked at me and said, but you don't look bipolar. And
Yeah.
I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions of mental illness, that you've got to look a certain way or be a certain way, or you're crazy, or you're something to be feared of. And especially as a Black community, it's something that we kind of shy away from. We feel embarrassed about. Our
Hmm.
families feel embarrassed. Our parents can feel embarrassed. And, you know, mental health also, it used to be seen as bringing shame upon your family. I don't know if the culture is
Yeah.
like that where
Definitely.
you are. You know, it was a bit like that. But when I found the strength after 8 years of keeping this a secret, by the way,
Oh.
relaunching my career, winning awards, TV programs, like my career's going like that, but secretly I was battling
Yeah.
bipolar. I was battling, you know, suicidal thoughts. I was battling low mood.
Yeah.
I was self-sabotage, battling myself every single day. And it was literally like a fight every day of the week. But yet there was this parallel universe where I was doing all these great things and I was achieving all these brilliant things, and everyone was wanting to look to me and they wanted to learn from me at my presenting academy and things like that. But inside I'm thinking, I'm keeping this massive secret
Yeah.
that none of you know, and I wish I could fully be myself. And so last year I said, sod it, I'm going to come out of the bipolar closet and I'm going to tell the world. And
Yeah.
that's what I did. And ever since then, I've just been speaking about it. And it seems to be just normalizing conversations. I'm not here trying to bring a cure because I can't, but you know.
Yeah, yeah, but it's so great that you're able to, you know, to put that out there and have conversations about it. Because so many times, as Black people, we don't have conversations about things that we need to talk about, and that's, you know, whether it's mental health issues, whether it's the racism that's going on and it has been going on, and things like that. So having these conversations is, you know, is so good, and then from your standpoint, a lot of times people would just medicate, or they'd say people are crazy and they'll medicate them, and then that makes them in a, you know, it puts them in a cloudy space, as opposed to finding the root of the problem, which may be that they need some things, that they need to speak with someone so that they can unpack them,
Absolutely.
or maybe it's something else that's going on and it's running in the family. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, and that's the thing, you know, we're not, nobody's 100% sure if it's something you're born with, something that develops. I think it's probably a bit of both. I think it's things that happen in your life that can, you know, bring out certain, or can develop certain mental health conditions.
yeah,
But at the same time, what I try and explain to people is that it's just like physical health, isn't it? Mental health is mental health.
yeah,
And just sometimes our physical health can get damaged sometimes. It's the same with our mental health, and people sort of don't look at them in the same way. If we were here talking about our physical health and going to the gym or whatever, then people will get down with that conversation.
right,
Oh, like they'd be so, how much can you lift and blah blah blah. They get winning. What do you eat? Are you vegan? I'm eating very healthy. And you could do all those things, but if your mind isn't sound and if you can't work on those things, it will prevent you from doing everything, because your mind is so powerful.
yeah,
And you know, if your mind is saying today, I can't cope and I'm just going to lie here and my whole body aches because I'm so depressed, then that's what your mind is going to tell you. And unfortunately, there are many people suffering because they're either too afraid to speak about it, they themselves don't recognize it or don't want to recognize it, or they feel, like you said, that, hey, they might put me on medication, they might take me away.
yeah.
But actually, I would just say to anybody, it's not always about medication.
Hmm.
There's so many different types of therapies available. I know the first thing that doctors try to do is push you on meds. I get it.
Yeah.
Obviously, there are loads of different types of therapies, psychotherapies, counseling, and things like that. And I just believe that nobody should be afraid, because what's worse for me is remaining in a box and not being myself and not being able to just live authentically me, good or bad, whatever I am. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
what a way to live on this earth and then leave this earth and never really just be me and
Right.
hide who I am. So I said, oh, forget that. So finally I plucked up the courage, and now I speak about it and I own it. And it's just, you know, to encourage anybody, if they feel any kind of way in themselves. I have people that come to me all the time and they kind of say, you know, I really relate to what you speak about, but I'm afraid that, you know, doctors might try and put me on meds and whatever. And what I'll say is, look, I'm on medication, but
Yeah.
I also do therapy.
Okay.
There has to be, for me, a bit of both, because where I was, I needed medication personally, because if I didn't have medication, I would have ended up getting worse, which I believe could have been something like being in a hospital or being sexual or being dead. You know, it was that serious. So for me, if I wanted to live, I had to take the meds to get as quickly out of that as quickly as I could. And then once they balance you out, then they give you all different types of therapies.
Yeah.
So there are things available. So I just encourage anyone, sorry, Dessie, to go off on that tangent. You know, I just encourage anyone to go for it. If they need it, speak up, speak to a friend, but don't suffer in silence, because life is too short. Like, it's just too short. Live, you deserve to.
Yeah, and no, by all means, I'm glad to have this conversation with you, and especially when you talk about being a creative and having that problem, because as a creative, I do know, yeah, some days when things are going great, it is really, really good, and then other times it's like, you know what? Am I really living my passion? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? I feel like I should be further along than I am. And so the most confident people sometimes still have issues with that that they don't feel like they're enough at times. You know, and like you mentioned, being very successful out here in the public, but at home kind of feeling the complete opposite. So I definitely understand where you're coming from with that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You hit the nail on the head, and you go through it yourself. And those great times are brilliant. But like you say, behind closed doors, if you're self-loathing or you're not giving yourself enough self-care or self-love, and as cheesy as all those things sound, like, I had to really work on myself, because the public person was great. The public persona was great, but behind closed doors, I was absolutely suffering. I was like a rotting tree. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I needed water. I needed to survive. And I had to make a choice. Was I going to survive or was I not? And in fact, every morning I have to make that choice. Am I going to do or die today? What am I going to do? You know?
Yeah, and with the pandemic, I wonder and I worry about so many people, and I try to check on friends and different things like that, because the creative industry was one of the ones that were hit the worst, because like I do marketing, but obviously media as well, but it's like, you know, TV production shut down, you know, people that work in marketing or PR, all of that shut down. I know a lot of people that were laid off from radio and things like that. And sometimes in these roles, we that's how we identify ourselves. We don't say I'm Dessie and I'm just Dessie. No, it's Dessie that does this, you know, because we identify with our job so much.
Well, that's the thing. It's about it's about not defining yourself, isn't it? And being in the pandemic and everything is sort of shut down. In the beginning, I was like, okay, great. I was actually cool about it, because I thought to myself, the world is going so fast anyway. I need it to slow down. And so when it first happened, I was like, phew, now everyone's on the same wavelength as me. Nobody could get any further ahead or whatever. We're all on this playing field now. And I felt like I could breathe. And then actually, as the weeks went on and I saw more and more people making content and making TV and production, should I say, in different ways, the panic started coming back. And I thought, oh my gosh, I better start doing something. And so, you know, then I sat there, but I didn't want to jump on any kind of bandwagon. That's a really big deal to me. I really, because everyone was online, I then on purpose did not want to come online because
Yeah.
I felt like I just don't want to be part of the problem. It was a lot of noise. As
Yes.
soon as the pandemic happened, everyone, whether you were celebrity, non-celebrity, everyone was doing an Instagram live. It was
Yeah.
just like, oh my God. But then it quieted down. And as it quieted down, it allowed me to think more because I just stayed off socials, and it allowed me to think more. And I thought, actually, I could be using this time to just authentically just be talking to whoever's there. And if it's one person, if it's a million people,
Yes.
I've got things to share because people keep asking me. And if it was
Mhm.
up to me, I probably just wouldn't because I'm very private. I just want to kind of, we're all kind of, no one wants to be rejected for the things that
Right.
they've gone. You see what I mean? I don't want
Yeah.
anybody to say, oh, well, you didn't do this because of that or whatever. And
Yeah.
so when you speak your truth and your story, you're being quite vulnerable to people. And
Hmm.
so it's not an easy decision for me to, say, okay, I'm going to talk to people about this stuff.
Yeah.
But equally, that has actually helped me the most. And
Hmm.
I'm also used to isolation
Yeah.
because when you suffer depression and when you suffer any kind of mental illness, believe you me, as much as I am in the public eye, what you see here is what you get. Yes, she's confident, she's quick, she's witty. What you're seeing is me.
Yeah.
But there's the other side of me that actually just is really kind of quiet. It's really kind of chilled.
Yeah.
Doesn't really want to take phone calls. Doesn't really. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like that. So whilst everyone was freaking out over the lockdown situation, I kind of felt like, well, I'm made for this because I'm used to being by myself for weeks on end. If I'm in a project, if I'm
Yeah.
editing, if I'm working on something, I'm quite used to it. So from a mental health perspective, I've been all right, I have to say. There's only
Yeah.
been a few moments, and there are times throughout where I would see something on the news and reality hits. Like you
Yeah.
see a stat of
Hmm.
how many people have died, or, even around the world at the moment, what's happening in America, and so what's happening here with the Black Lives Matter movement and all of that. Seeing those things on the news and that have reduced me to tears, the
Yeah.
good and the bad.
Well,
But
yeah.
these are messages that we see.
Yeah, and I think it's very important for people to use this time, you know, to take care of themselves the best way that they see fit. Like for the first couple of weeks when it started, I also manage nightclubs and do a lot of events. So that's a significant part of my income that was taken away. And so I was down about it for a couple of weeks, but I kind of just tried to, get my mind together. And then I started the show. And yes, there are people all over the place going live, but I'm like, you know what? At the end
Mm-hmm.
of the day, the cream will rise to the top. So whether, the same way there was a million DJs going live, like the best DJs will keep going and they'll get views, and the ones that won't, they'll fall by the wayside. So
Yeah.
so I thought that was important for me to, keep doing it, and then being able to connect with people that are checking their DMs and checking their emails when normally they would be on the go and wouldn't have time for it.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like because we've all had to just shut down,
Hmm.
we've also had to do it within our homes and in our minds in many ways and just be still for a minute. And I
Yeah,
think that's why there just feels like there's a different type of energy happening in
yeah,
just something out of something so awful. I'm hoping that some really good things can come out of what we've just been experiencing over the last 6 months. It's been crazy, pardon the
yeah.
pun, but it's
Right.
just been so unexpected, hasn't it?
Yeah, and I also wanted to get your opinion. You mentioned it a little bit about what's going on here with the Black Lives Matter movement. So please talk to me about how it looks from the UK, because this is the first time I believe in history that so many different countries have protested as well and kind of jumped on board with us in America. So
Yeah.
with you being in the UK, and there has been a lot going on there. So please talk to me about the perception of everything from over the pond.
Well, the thing is, gosh, there's so much to sort of deconstruct there, so I'll try and sort of cover everything. But in terms of the UK, you know, as Black people, we're your brothers and sisters, full stop. We've grown up on your culture before even really creating our own. In the last 20 years, I would say, because I've seen that from the music industry into TV, I feel like we've really cultivated our own British UK culture in terms of like our music and our, you know, we used to really look up to Americans, certainly when I was growing up, because that's what we would see. But we've always stood in solidarity with you guys because you're Black and you're American and we're British. And so, but what was always interesting was that people never realized that the UK is just as racist as America. And it was very much like, oh, America's the racist place. No, actually, the UK is, but there's a difference in the UK is that it's very institutional, it's very covert and it's under the line. So whereas in America, you guys seem to have right in your face, you're an N, you're a this, you're a that. You can't get away with that sort of stuff because we're British, darlings, and you know, we don't behave in that way. But equally, you know, we have just as much damage done to us, and we have police brutality all the time, and we have young Black men and women, older Black men and women dying in police custody. But it is nothing, obviously, as you guys do on your levels. The last time we had somebody die in police custody that had such a catalyst, there were actually riots across London. I think that was 2011. We actually had riots across London because of that death. And there are certain things that they try and change here in the UK, in British culture and society. But like I said, it's done in a different type of way, completely different type of way. What we see from you guys is something very brutal. Like what happened with George Floyd is just brutal. Equally though, were you guys surprised by it? As disgusted as you were, it's a different story. We were disgusted by it, but I don't know any person here that was like, oh my gosh, what a surprise. No, because this has been happening to us for years and years and years and years, you know? So as your UK brothers and sisters, we're looking at this and we completely are just as enraged every single time there is an American person who's killed by cops. Like, I think we are just lucky in the UK because our police as a general whole don't carry firearms. Because we as people don't carry firearms, it's less of that. You can shoot, you know, less of that smoke and mirrors.
Not even taken to that level.
Right. It would take a lot for, you know, it would have to go quite far in that sense, because we as people don't carry guns here and the police aren't armed unless they're special type of police force. So for us watching you guys is brutal and we hate it. And obviously this whole thing coming up, there has been an uprising because I feel like the world, and you've asked specifically about the UK, we are fed up as well. We are fed up as well. And when people were talking about, oh gosh, George Floyd and la la la, and I think at that point is when the UK went, hold on a minute, we're included in this as well. Don't start making this a story about this American man. You know, this is still happening on our soil. And so people are just coming out. Exactly how you're seeing it is exactly how we're seeing it. But the beauty of here in the UK, even though it's institutionally racist, the people of the UK as a whole aren't racist. Do you see what I mean? I feel like in certain states of what you guys have got, just like in certain areas that we have, are more racist than others. Okay, but the people can't just chase us down the street for the fun of it. And then just think that they could. Do you see what I mean? Obviously stuff like that happens, but I'm just in comparing to what you guys have.
And the thing about it with systemic racism is that, you know, now with all the protests, but everything being stopped and slowed down because of COVID, now people are shining more light on it even more. And so now you're starting to see, like, okay, companies are releasing statements and saying, okay, we stand with you and Black Lives Matter. But now the next part is, okay, let's look at your board. Like, okay, let's see who the execs are for your company. Let's see where this money is going. And I think that's really important.
This is the truth. This is the truth of it, Dessie. I mean, you know, just going back to the protests and everything here, what has been warming for me, what's brought a tear to my eye, is seeing how multicultural our protests have been here in the UK, all across the UK. Because yes, London has the most black population, but of course there are black people all across the UK. And it's just been wonderful to see, even at some protests, have been in many ways more white people. So that is quite warming, because I feel like there's a solidarity around the world that we never had before. I feel like we've got more non-black allies and more white allies than we've ever had before. But my whole thing is that I'm hoping that this isn't, you know, just going to go when there's another story, something else important, a second wave, or this or that, whatever it is, and then we all take our eyes off the prize and everything goes back to normal. I'm hoping that this will not go back to normal, that we are now talking about race, that we are going to make a change, that all of this has happened now, 2020, the amount of things that we have seen and gone through this year.
Yeah, and the year ain't even up.
You know what I mean? This, if there's any year for the world to become as non-racist as possible, 2020 surely has to be the year, because too much madness has happened out of it. So so we're with you, you know, we're with you, and we're fighting our fight as well. And really, it's as one people worldwide, and that's what it's about. And it warms my heart. It gives me hope, actually, to see how united people around the world are becoming in the midst of a time where we're all risking our lives to be out there and do these protests.
And I like seeing, and I like seeing so many young people, because really it's going to be the next generation that comes up, because unless you were taught to be racist, like young people, and even with the mix of races, like, and things like that, I feel like it's going to be all one race, because there's so many mixed kids and everything. And it's like the old way, the old system, the old racists, they're going to be out of here in a few years anyway, just, you know, because they don't have that much.
But the thing is, it's learned behavior, isn't it? A lot of it, it's learned behavior. It's what people pass on to their kids and their kids and their kids. So you would like to hope that one day it'll be gone, but will it, if we don't address it? And if we keep pretending like where we came from, you know, like Britain are really great at going, oh gosh, look at what's happening in America. They've got the most bloodied past in history than probably most places in the world. You see what I mean? Certainly in Europe. So it's very easy to forget that, and to forget that our countries were literally built upon slave labor, and that's why there is that term for a reason. So yeah, I mean, look, let's just hope that things are changing for the better. I hope so, and if that is the case, then I'm happy to be alive to see it, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And man, thank you so much for being on the show. Like, I really appreciate your conversation and everything.
Me too.
Please, if people want to connect with you, how do they do so? And also tell the viewers what else that you're working on and what you have coming up, so that people are aware of it.
Yeah, well, anyone watching, please follow me on all social media at Leah Charles King. You can find me anywhere. I'd love to connect with you. I'm doing the show every Sunday on Instagram Live at 8 p.m, but that's GMT. So you'll have to find out where that is in your part of the world. But yeah, so that's every Sunday. And currently I'm talking about racism in the UK. So that's my series at the moment, just because of what's going on. But as a general whole, I speak about mental health, but I always get on different guests as well, sometimes celebrities, and sometimes just great people in the community. And I love to connect with people and share other people's stories, and, you know, just all support each other and just have a good time whilst we're doing it. And like I said, life's too short, so we've all got to try and reach our goals and dreams whilst we can.
Yeah, man, thank you so much for being on the show. I love this. I definitely want to get you back on at some point in time.
I love that.
We'll have to schedule that as well. And feel free to send me anything that that you have coming up, and I'll make sure to post it or whatever.
Oh, thank you.
I want to be supportive to you, and I actually have an R&B artist named Keith Jacobs that I manage, and we just signed a deal with a company over in the UK called Ostereo, and so at some point we're going to be over there. But
Really? That's exciting. Well, you
yeah,
better keep in touch then. Because,
yeah,
if you become a big, famous music manager, then I might have to resurrect my rapping
there you go.
career.
There you
You know,
go.
not going to happen. It's not going to happen, Dessie. But no, definitely. Thank you for your support and thank you for asking me on the show. And, to anybody watching, particularly what we spoke about, the mental health and the racism and things like that, there is help and support. And, everyone has at least one friend. I know sometimes we feel alone in some moments, but there is always at least one person that loves you. So reach out to them if you're ever feeling any type of way, good or bad.
Man, thank you so much. This was great, and I'll get this edited and get it sent over to you as well. So
Okay, you do that. I look forward to
yeah,
it.
for sure. You and I
Have a good
hope.
evening from the UK.
Yeah, you have a good evening. Bye
Bye,
bye.
Dessie.